I will start sharing my screen. If you have any problem, please let me know. Do you have any problem regarding this? So whatever I have talked now, this is the schematic representation. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So whatever I was talking about is this: an electron gun, magnetic lenses, then specimen sample or holder, and then about the things where the image is finally formed. So this is how the image is formed. But when you talk about, um, I will just fast go through it. As I stated, transmission electron microscope consists of electron gun, central column. Central quantum column has two major systems, or two major parts rather, you can say. One is the magnetic lenses and another is the specimen holder. So these are the two major parts of the central column, which is under vacuum. This is to be remembered always, that the central column of electron microscope is always under vacuum. And why vacuum is to be maintained? Because to focus the electron beam or keep the electron beam in a straight path, right? So this magnetic lenses will be nullifying the deflection which otherwise can occur in the electron beam. So that is nullified. So different types of magnetic lenses are there, and second is the specimen holder in the central column. Third is, as I stated, fluorescent screen and the viewing window. These are the four major parts rather, you can say, which are there as far as construction is concerned. वर्किंग में मैंने सभी बताया है पहले, तो आई विल नॉट गो इन डिटेल्स ऑफ दैट अगेन. So I will just move forward. As far as observation is concerned, two ways are there for observation. One thing should be very clear, that whenever you talk about using transmission electron microscopy, make a note that live cells cannot be studied under, you cannot study live cell under transmission electron microscopy. Now why not? Because here the column is under vacuum and the specimen holder is within the column. So if there is any moisture content, that will damage the whole system, and therefore, and second thing is that you require a thin film, thin section of the specimen. And when you make a thin section of the specimen sample doesn't remain live, even if it is a live cell, because there is a harsh treatment which you need to give, right? So that particular thing is to be mentioned, because the electron microscope or the vacuum which is maintained in the electron microscope doesn't allow the use of live cell or observation of live cell, right? Getting me or not? So ये बात ध्यान में रखना कि live cells cannot be observed under transmission electron microscope, because the specimen preparation is bit tedious in transmission electron microscope. The specimen is prepared as thin, dry film of electron transparent material. So whatever the specimen holder is there, basically it is like a mesh. The specimen holder is like a mesh. जो अपनी रैकेट होती है ना, उस तरह का वो specimen holder होता है. Right, this is like a mesh, and on this mesh you are supposed to place your specimen, and this material is electron or has to be electron transparent. The specimen holder is a mesh which is made up of material which is electron transparent material like collidon and so forth. and then it is placed in the holder or on the holder, and the holder is inserted within the column which is under vacuum. So that will be uh, airtight. As soon as you insert it, it will be airtight. But this is to be needs to be electron transparent. Now and then it will be projected. So like this it will work out. When you talk about observation, making observations under transmission electron microscopy, as I stated, observations can be done in two ways, either as a relief staining method or in a natural condition without staining and with staining. If you are working without staining, it becomes very difficult to observe because the material or the specimen sample is transparent, and again clear background or bright background, you cannot have a contrast and you will not be able to see anything. And therefore, when you are observing any specimen sample under transmission electron microscopy, in transmission electron microscopy or microscope, contrast is essential for studying the specimen sample, and the contrast results from the differential scattering of electrons by the specimen. Now, depending upon the specimen sample, from some part of the specimen sample the electron may be transmitted, or from some part the electron may be scattered, and like this the shadow or image of that particular specimen sample will be projected by the projector lens on the projector screen. As I stated, microbial cells, when you talk about, ये तो मैंने पहले बताया कि live cells cannot be observed, but if microbial cells you are using, normally microbial cells are colorless. So microbial cells normally give weak contrast. There is no contrast as such. But for observation of the structure, you need to have a contrast, and this contrast can be increased between the specimen by using staining methods. In electron microscope or in electron microscopy, for increasing the contrast between the specimen sample and the background, staining method is preferred. Staining with salts, particularly heavy metals, salts of heavy metals like lead, tungsten and uranium, these are more prominently preferred, so that this metal salts will be coated on the specimen sample or on the background. Now there are two ways. If these heavy metal salts, these are coated on the specimen sample, then it is called as positive staining. These specimen or these heavy metal salts, if they are fixed on the specimen sample, which is called as positive staining, means you are coloring, you are coating the specimen, so the contrast will be there between the background and the specimen sample, so that is positive staining. Or you can use this heavy metal salts to stain the background, if background is stained and the specimen sample is not stained, then that method is called as negative staining. ये ध्यान में रखना, पॉजिटिव स्टेनिंग एंड नेगेटिव स्टेनिंग. पॉजिटिव स्टेनिंग में स्पेसिमेन सैंपल को स्टेन किया जाता है और नेगेटिव स्टेनिंग में बैकग्राउंड को स्टेन किया जाता है, राइट? सो इन बोथ द केसेस यू गेट ए कॉन्ट्रास्ट, and contrast is essential for observation, right? Now apart from this, apart from negative and positive staining, there are two other preparatory techniques for observations under transmission electron microscopy. Of course, I will not go in details of that. One is called as shadow casting, One is called as shadow casting, this one, and freeze fracturing. These are two other preparatory techniques apart from this negative and positive staining, which are frequently used for observation of biological specimens. For observation of biological specimens, this shadow casting. Now, yes, shadow casting is a bit costly because here platinum, gold, and silver is being used for casting the shadows. So that is bit means costly affair also. But freeze fracturing can be done. If I go on talking on this, there will a lot of time will be required, as it is not required for your syllabus, or it is not mentioned in your syllabus. I will not go in details of that. But keep in mind that apart from negative and positive staining, as far as observation is concerned under transmission electron microscopy, shadow casting and freeze fracturing can also be used as one of the preparatory methods for observations, normally for biological specimen samples under transmission electron microscopy. Right, this is all with respect to what you can say transmission electron microscopy. As far as observation or application is concerned, you can use transmission electron microscopy for observing those specimen samples which are having a dimension less than 0.2 micron. Because up to 0.2 micron dimension, you can very easily observe them under light microscope, because the resolving limit of light microscope is 0.2 micron. So for observation of objects having dimension less than 0.2 micron, you need to go for electron microscopy. Among them also, if you are interested in internal structure of the specimen sample, you need to go for transmission electron microscopy. You need to go for transmission electron microscopy, because in transmission electron microscopy, the electron beam is transmitted through the specimen sample. Right? So it can be used for observation of morphology. It can be used for studying viruses and particularly bacterial flagella. We can see bacteria under stain preparation in line microscope, but flagella cannot be seen properly. So this flagella, because it is a very thin and delicate organ associated with bacteria, particularly motile bacteria. So this bacterial flagella can very easily be visualized under electron microscopy. As I stated, electron microscopy particularly can be used for observation of intracellular structures. For observation of intracellular structure, you can use this electron microscope. It can be used to localize or study the localization of enzymes also. Within the cell, there are different compartments or there are different organelles. Just for example, if you take an example of a cell having mitochondria, mesosome, ribosomes, and so forth. These are cell wall, cell membrane, periplasmic space, and so forth. You will find that there are many enzymes which are localized at different organs. So localization or identification of the localized enzymes can also be traced by using transmission electron microscopy. And finally, transmission electron microscopy can be used, or microscope can be used for measurement of size of very minute organisms like viruses. Right. So this is all with respect to the electron microscope, particularly transmission electron microscope. ये एक schematic representation है या ray diagram you can say, which says that it works like this. Electron gun is there, then magnetic lens, specimen. Here magnetic lens again is there. So this will be the magnetic lens which will be projecting, and again you will have different upper magnetic lenses and projector, and finally you will get the image here. So this sort of, if the ray diagram is asked of electron microscope or that to transmission electron microscope, it is expected that you should at least draw this. I have another also which can be used. There are other also, we'll see it bit later. So the things are cleared up to now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The second type of electron microscope is scanning electron microscope. Now this is a bit different. Whatever drawbacks, see, the development in microscopy took place in a definite manner, I can say. First it was a simple microscope. First it was a magnifying lens, then it came to simple microscope, then it came to compound microscope, and then it came to transmission electron microscope, and now it came to scanning electron microscope. Whatever the disadvantage were there of your transmission electron microscope, that can be removed, or that has been removed in scanning electron microscope. As I stated that in transmission electron microscope you cannot observe live specimen sample, right? And you need to take a very thin section of whatever the sample you are observing under transmission electron microscope. That thing is not required here. Even if a stone or a rock you can take a rock and you can put it as a specimen sample and study the surface. Surface structure can very easily be studied. Topographical studies, you can know the whatever you can say the structure of any chemical by scanning electron microscope. So surface topological studies are very efficiently done by using scanning electron microscope. So what is this scanning electron microscope? Again, as I stated, scanning electron microscope is, as the name indicates, is a type of electron microscope in which electron beam scans thick specimens and electrons which are emitted from object surface forms an image on a fluorescent screen. Now see the difference between transmission electron microscopy and your scanning electron microscopy. If in a simple manner, if you want to say, suppose this is a specimen sample, okay? In case of transmission electron microscopy, suppose it is TEM, what will happen? The electron beam, whatever it is coming, it will be transmitted through the specimen sample. But if it is scanning electron microscope, then whatever the beam of light or electron is being passed, it will come to the specimen sample. It will not be transmitted now, right? It will not be transmitted. Rather, it will be exciting the area on the surface by the high potential electron beam, and here now the secondary electrons will be formed. These are the primary electrons which are bombarded on the specimen sample. Of course, thick specimen sample can be used here, and it will excite this area where it has been bombarding the primary electrons. Now this excited atoms will release the electrons which are called as secondary electrons, and these secondary electrons which are emitted from the object surface actually forms the image. So that is the major difference. स्कैनिंग इलेक्ट्रॉन माइक्रोस्कोप और ट्रांसमिशन इलेक्ट्रॉन माइक्रोस्कोप में मेजर डिफरेंस ये है कि ट्रांसमिशन, एज द नेम इंडिकेट्स, ट्रांसमिशन इलेक्ट्रॉन माइक्रोस्कोपी में इलेक्ट्रॉन बीम जो है जनरेट होती है इलेक्ट्रॉन गन से, वो ट्रांसमिट करती है ऑब्जेक्ट में से या स्पेसिमेन सैंपल में से। लेकिन स्कैनिंग इलेक्ट्रॉन माइक्रोस्कोपी में जो बीम सैंपल पे गिरती है या सैंपल पे बम्बार्ड होती है, तो वो एक पर्टिकुलर एरिया को स्कैन करती है, और वो स्कैन होने के बाद वहां के जो एटम है वो एक्साइट होके इलेक्ट्रॉन्स जनरेट करते हैं। दीज इलेक्ट्रॉन सेकेंडरी, दीज आर कॉल्ड एज secondary electrons, and these secondary electrons which are emitted from the object surface actually are involved in formation of a image on the fluorescent screen. So that is the major difference. So because of this part, it has a typical application. Major application of scanning electron microscopy or scanning electron microscopy is used to study surface topography and morphology. सरफेस स्टडीज के लिए स्कैनिंग इलेक्ट्रॉन माइक्रोस्कोप बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी हो जाता है विदाउट एनी टेकिंग सेक्शन और सो. तो जो सेक्शन टेकिंग और स्टेनिंग का पार्ट है ट्रांसमिशन इलेक्ट्रॉन माइक्रोस्कोपी में उसकी ज़रूरत ही नहीं. इन स्कैनिंग इलेक्ट्रॉन माइक्रोस्कोप, as I stated, it is an improved version of electron microscope. Whatever the drawbacks were there with the transmission electron microscope, they were removed in scanning electron microscope. Scanning electron microscope is used to study the three-dimensional structure of a specimen sample. Three-dimensional images, whatever you find, the images of different organs or organisms in books, these are basically the images taken by either transmission electron microscope or scanning electron microscope. So all the surface structural details, three-dimensional structure of the specimen samples, these are mostly taken by scanning electron microscope. As far as principle is concerned, in scanning electron microscopy or microscope, when the accelerated primary electrons, means primary electrons are those electrons which are generated in the gun, right? With at the top, you, as I stated, electron gun is there, made up of cathode and anode. So that whatever the electron is generated from this electron gun is acting as a primary electron. So when the accelerated primary electrons strikes the sample, it produces secondary electrons. And these secondary electrons, these are collected by a positive charge electron detector, which will collect all these secondary electrons which are generated from the sample, and in turn they are amplified. They are amplified to give a three-dimensional image of that particular sample. I repeat, the accelerated primary electrons, when strikes the sample, it produces secondary electron. Mind well here that electron beam is not being transmitted through the sample. We don't require thin section here. As I stated, you can use your gold, metal, rock, stone, or anything as it is, right? So primary electrons, when they are striking this sample, it will produce secondary electrons, and these secondary electrons are collected by a positively charged electron detector, because electrons have negative charge. So when a positive charge detector is used, it will attract these electrons and it will be collected, and further it is sent to amplifier. It will amplify, and then this is sent to the to form an image on the cathode ray tube. It is sent to cathode ray tube and a image is formed. So that is the principle. You can see here, this is an electron gun made up of cathode and anode. It will be producing a beam of light, electron. There are condensing lenses which will condense, or which will what you can say, neutralize the deflection of the electron beam, so that electron beam will be in a straight direction. Now here you can see an additional part is there which you have not seen, or we have not seen in transmission electron microscopy. It is called as a scanning coil, right? Now this electron beam which is being generated from the electron gun includes primary electrons. These primary electrons has to pass through a scanning coil. And now this scanning coil, after passing through the scanning coil, this primary electron will scan a particular area. जो आपका इंफॉर्मेशन स्कैनिंग कॉइल का होगा उतना एरिया स्कैन करेगा आपका प्राइमरी इलेक्ट्रॉन्स, उतने एरिया पे वो स्कैन करेगा. Now when it is scanning that particular area, it will generate the secondary electrons. Secondary electrons are collected here by a positive charge collector, which will collect this, and then it will be amplified. It will be amplified because there is a need to convert these electrical signals to visual, which is normally done in our TV screen or whatsoever visual कैमरा जहां आप देखते हो, वहां उसको कहा जाता है कैथोड रे ऑसिलोस्कोप. ये कैथोड रे ऑसिलोस्कोप जो है, these are video amplifier. It changes the signal from it changes electrical signals to visual signal. So that is needed. So here it will be amplified and it will be then sent to CTR or cathode ray tube via CRO or cathode ray oscilloscope, where the signals is changed from electrical to visual, right? So this is how it works. So as I stated, as far as construction is concerned, this is the construction where you find that it consists of a electron gun for producing high beam electron. Then there are condensing lenses. Magnetic condensing lenses are used to condense the electron beam. In addition, you will find a scanning coil in between the magnetic condensing lens and the sample. Now here, like transmission electron microscopy, you will not find other magnetic lenses. Here mostly 2 to 3 magnetic condensing lenses are there, one after another, and then is located scanning coil. Below scanning coil is the sample, right? The electron detector is used to collect the secondary electrons. As I stated, this electron collector is positively charged, and so negatively charged electrons, which secondary electrons I mean to say, which are generated from the sample will be collected, which is called as scintillator. It is used to collect these secondary electrons, and then it is passed on to the amplifier. Whatever the electron signal is collected, that is amplified, and then this amplified signal is sent to, or it is fed to the cathode ray oscilloscope, या आप उसको कैथोड रे ट्यूब कहिए. कैथोड रे ट्यूब और कैथोड रे ऑसिलोस्कोप में ये फंक्शन होता है कि दे कैन कन्वर्ट द इलेक्ट्रिकल सिग्नल्स टू द विजुअल सिग्नल. सो आपको इमेज मिल जाती है. हियर यू कैन गेट 3-dimensional image. So this is how it works. Okay, followed or not? Are you getting me? आवाज येतोय का माझा?
हो सर. Yes sir.
Okay. This is again the same thing, but in a different manner it is represented. You can see again here the whole thing is to be under vacuum. These are the you can say lenses, magnetic lenses. Here scanning coil is there. Scanning, after passing through scanning coil, it falls on specimen sample. Secondary electrons are detected, collected, and it is amplified and subjected to CTR, that is cathode ray tube, where the electron signals are converted into your visual signals. Right, so this is how most of the time it works. As I stated, the main components of scanning electron microscope are electron gun, then electron column, scanning system, which includes detector, then display system and electronic controls. You can see in this figure. The electron gun will be generating the free electron, which will accelerate these electrons to energize in the range of 1 to 40 kilowatt in scanning electron microscope. And most of the scanning electron microscope can generate an electron beam at the specimen surface with spot size less than 10 nanometer. Of course, this is adjustable. Depending upon the scanning coil, you can adjust how much area of the, or what area and how much area of the specimen sample is to be scanned. Everything is automized, but you need to give the command that you want 1 centimeter square area to be scanned or 1 micrometer area to be scanned. So it will scan only that much area. The maximum size of the specimen which can be used in scanning electron microscopy is up to this. And that differs with different brands or different names, right? What is the use basically? The scanning electron microscope normally is used to study external morphology. They are used to study external morphology, that is what you can say texture of a chemical, a specimen sample. It can be anything. It can be a stone, it can be a rock, it can be a chemical, or it can be a biological specimen sample also. Live biological specimen sample also can be visualized in scanning electron microscope. You can also come to know about the chemical composition using scanning electron microscope. Not only that, crystalline structure and orientation of the material can also be studied under scanning electron microscope very easily, because you have nothing to do. Means specimen preparation is not required. Even if moisture is there, even if the cell is live, or even if the specimen sample is wet, that will not matter, because the electron beam is not passing or is not being transmitted through it. Rather, it will just fall on that and excite that particular electron on the surface where the primary electrons are being strike, and from that secondary electrons will be generated. It will be amplified, it will be collected, amplified, and it will be converted into visual signal. That is the mechanism how you get two-dimensional or three-dimensional image of that particular area which is being scanned by the demand or by the command of scanning scheme on the sample, and that will be converted into the image. Now this is the final picture, you can say, that how the things work. See, electron beam generated by electron gun passes through a anode which has a minute aperture through which the beam will be targeted towards magnetic lens. The magnetic lens will neutralize the movement or deflection of the beam which is generated, and it will be projected on the scanning coil, through the scanning coil. The scanning coil controls are with the instrument. You can give a command that what much area is to be scanned of the specimen sample, right? How much area is to be scanned can be given command accordingly. And variety of electrons, when the primary electron beam strikes the specimen sample, variety of electrons are being generated. There is one attachment which is there in recently used scanning electron microscope, which is having ability to detect the backscattered electrons. Backscattered electrons are detected, but they are not used as far as visualization of the or formation of image is concerned, but they can be detected. All the connections are with the TV or cathode ray tube. You can very easily observe that. Now, whatever the specimen sample or the primary electrons are striking on the specimen sample, through it forms or it rises, it gives rise to secondary electrons, and these secondary electrons are detected by positively charged detector. They are amplified and then they are sent to cathode ray tube, which can very easily be seen here. This is an electron beam which is striking the specimen sample. Now you can have backscattered electrons, you can have X-rays, you can have other augur electrons, right? But as far as image formation is concerned, the secondary electrons are more important for formation of image, because of course it needs to be amplified first, and after amplification then it needs to be sent to cathode ray oscilloscope, where it will convert the electrical signals into visual signals, and it will be projected on the fluorescent screen or your TV screen rather, we can say, which is actually a cathode ray tube, isn't it? आम्ही आता घरी आपण ज्यावेळेस टीव्ही बघतो त्यावेळेस तेच आहे ना, कॅथोड रे ट्यूब मध्ये काय होतं की आपलं सिग्नल, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक सिग्नल येतं वाया दॅट cable, and this electrical signal is converted into visual signal, and you can see the visuals on your screen. So the same mechanism is here also, right? Now this is the slide which includes light microscope, transmission electron microscope, and scanning electron microscope. This slide, you can take a snapshot of this, because wherever ray diagram is asked, you need to at least give this much minimum. You can take a snapshot of this and keep it you. Light micro comparison. This is also the comparison between the light microscope, transmission electron microscope, and scanning electron microscope. You can visualize that light microscope and transmission electron microscope are near about same. Only the things are different is illuminating source. Here illuminating source is light, here it is electron, here also it is electron. Condenser, glass condenser is there, which we normally refer it as substage condenser in case of light microscope. Now see, the light microscope is placed upside down. Light microscope is placed upside down. Normally light source खाली असतो आणि ऑक्युलर वरती असतो. आपण ह्याला इथे काय केलेलं आहे, उलट केलेलं आहे. लाईट सोर्स वरती ठेवलेला आहे, ऑक्युलर खाली ठेवलेला आहे, फॉर अंडरस्टँडिंग द थिंग्स. So illuminating source is same, means is here it is electron, here it is light. So it is required, means illuminating source is required in all the three, right? Here also electron gun is there. Then here condenser lens is there, here magnetic condenser lens is there, here condenser lens is there. Now see, in case of scanning electron microscopy, only you will find condenser lens 1, 2 and 3. Whereas in case of transmission electron microscopy, you will find condenser lens, then below condenser lens you will find the sample or specimen sample, then magnetic objective lens, then projector lens, and then image panel or fluorescent screen. So there is great similarity between the construction of light microscope and transmission electron microscope, but it has a different setup in case of scanning electron microscope. In scanning electron microscope, objective and projector lenses are not there. Only condenser lenses are there. Of course, it is magnetic condenser lenses are there. 2 or 3 magnetic condenser lenses are there. In addition, there is, you can say, a scanning coil. Here somewhere you will have a scanning coil, and this scanning coil will decide how much area. Say for example, here the scanning coil will be there, right? So this scanning coil, of course, it is in your hand. You have to give a command that whatever the light it has been coming from the magnetic condenser lens, when it passes through this, as per your command, that much area on the specimen sample will be scanned. And the secondary electrons which are generated from the striking of the primary electrons will be collected here, and then it will be sent, amplified and sent to cathode ray tube, where you can observe the visual effect. Right. So this is all with respect to your this is all respect to your microscope. Now, if you talk about application of electron microscope, you can say that electron microscope normally is used to observe viruses which are very minute in size. In nanometer they have the size. Electron microscope can be used to study bacterial flagella or C bacterial flagella. It can be used for detailed observation of intracellular structures. It can be used for measurement of size of viruses, because viruses are very small in size. It can be used for localization of enzymes. It can be used for determination of size and shape of particles. It can also be used for determination of concentration of colloidal particles in the suspension. It can also be used for crystallographic studies. It can also be used for structural studies, topographic studies, morphological studies, and so forth. Right? With this, I conclude this topic. If there are any questions regarding microscopy, maybe light microscope or electron microscope, you can ask it or post these questions in the chat box. We will discuss on that. Are there any questions regarding this?
No, sir.
If there are no questions, then I think we should stop, isn't it? If there are no questions, shall we stop now then?
Yes, sir.
Shall we stop?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next lecture, we will be talking about some different topic. By that time, you see that you collect the notes. For collecting notes, you can have access to the Xerox center which is nearby college. We have normally with them. We keep the notes with them. Xerox, you can get that from the Xerox center. If not, you can ask me. I will arrange to put it in the group. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.